Hey, my name is STIX and welcome back to another weekly bite of MMORPG news, a series where we discuss everything related to MMOs, new releases, updates, pre-registrations, and drama, all in one somewhat easily digestible format. We have a lot to talk about, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. Before we jump into the video though, I want to take a moment here to thank today's sponsor, Witchspring. Witchspring is a gorgeous story-driven RPG that combines numerous elements, simulation, collecting, crafting, and strategic combat to provide players an experience that they won't soon forget. If playing as the adorable Pieberry as she goes on a journey outside the forest she grew up in sounds like something you'd be interested in, I urge you to go ahead, click the link in the description and the pinned comment below. This will take you directly to the Steam page where you can download and play the game. And trust me, you're going to want to. You'll be able to train Pieberry in various different ways with numerous skills to make her more powerful. You'll collect various magical ingredients and cook magical meals to increase Pieberry's abilities. You can upgrade Pieberry's staff. You can create powerful magic aligned with one of 4 different elements. You can tame and train over a dozen unique pets that help you on your journey. You can engage enemies in strategic turn-based combat, as no journey would be complete without the potential danger and threat of powerful monsters. Witchspring is a stunning new single-player premium RPG that you need to check out, and I strongly urge you to. Again, if the game looks at all remotely of interest to you, then don't miss a chance to download and play it right now, using my link down below, of course. Let's go ahead and start this off with arguably one of the most important games right now, and that is Digimon Super Rumble. I've covered this game in the past. This is a nostalgia trip. This is an MMO that takes place in the Digimon Adventure world, Digimon Adventure 1, not 2. It features characters like Tai, Sora, Matt, characters like Agumon, Gabumon, Biyomon, the OG Digimon, and the Digidestined. Up until, I think about a week or 2 ago, the game was region restricted. You could not access it outside of Korea without a Korean social security number or Korean phone number. It was almost impossible to actually get in and play the game. I did, thanks to a Korean friend that I had, but as of the last week or 2, the game is now playable globally. There are no regional restrictions whatsoever. Yes, the game is still in Korean temporarily. They are working on releasing the game globally, and this is a first step by removing regional restrictions and allowing players from outside of Korea to play. If you're interested in learning more, I have a dedicated video on it that I posted at some point last week. Next, Rose Online. I'm sure plenty of you remember Rose Online. This was an anime MMO that was relevant back at the time of Flife, Fiesta Online, Grand Fantasia, Eden Eternal. It is admittedly by today's standards very dated, but it was also somewhat of a popular game and is currently in early access. The reboot of the game is currently in early access. If you're interested in reliving adventures in the world of Rose Online, go ahead and check that out. Then we have Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This has admittedly triggered a lot of unhappiness amongst the community because they have decided they wanted to change the direction, their graphical direction, and people are saying that the game looks even worse now than it did a couple years ago. They're saying that this is literally the only MMO in existence that continues to look worse over time as opposed to better. I honestly don't think it looks half bad. I can see where people might believe it is less of an improvement than the devs do, but I mean, this is a direction they want to take the game. So Final Fantasy XIV's patch 6.5 Growing Light is coming early October 2023. I believe they actually noted October 3rd. Now, I know we're in somewhat of a content drought right now. I admittedly haven't logged into Final Fantasy XIV probably over the course of most of this year, but that's because I'm the kind of person that downloads a game or plays a game during the first patch of an expansion and then the last patch of an expansion and kind of just like powers through everything at once because there's a lot to do then, a lot to consume, and it's worth the sub fee that I pay. And although I don't think Endwalker is as fun as Shadowbringers, I am genuinely curious to see how the expansion ends and moves into Dawn Light. Dawn Trail? Yeah, Dawn Trail. Where was I getting Dawnlight from? Next, we have Wayfinder, who revealed a brand new class coming to the game, Grendel. And they actually announced that they are going to be adapting the game into an anime with the studio behind Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. That could be really cool. All we need is for the player base to still be alive by the time that comes to fruition. But I mean, that's what the free-to-play release should theoretically accomplish. For Black Desert Online fans out there, you probably already know what this is, but the Black Desert Online team announced they are going to be introducing a monstrous new PvP game mode. I believe they mentioned 300 versus 300. Which is the equivalent of, well, like a world v world or a realm v realm. This is very exciting for PvPers. I admittedly never really got into the PvP in Black Desert Online because it always seemed very unbalanced and one-sided. But I mean, Black Desert's a fairly populated game with a lot of people playing it, so 300 versus 300 probably isn't that difficult to fill, but will be an absolutely freaking chaotic mess in the best way. Next, we have PAX Day, who recently released a big blog post, a tech update that introduced shards, servers, zones, where they go on to, they actually released quite a bit of information, specifically pertaining how players are going to play with one another, how they're going to connect to servers, connect to the world, how latency will be affected, how sharding will affect players and their ability to play together with their friends. It's honestly a lot to go over. I would urge you to go ahead and take a look at it if you're interested, because this is too much for a small little news segment. EverQuest III was kind of announced, but not entirely. It was also somewhat hinted towards, but essentially, EverQuest III, a brand new potential EverQuest MMO, is in the works, and they are targeting a 2028 release date. There have been a couple different content creators that have covered this so far. There really hasn't been much discussion, much in terms of conversation around the topic. You'd think a game as big as EverQuest, with EverQuest 1 and 2, would have garnered more of a reception than it did, but it didn't. Now you're actively aware of it though, with the 30 to 50,000 people that are no doubt going to watch this video. Hopefully it sparks some kind of discussion somewhere and brings more attention to the game. Then we have Throne and Liberty. I'm sure you were aware, if you watched last week's video or the week before, that they were holding a global technical test. The technical test is going to be under NDA, which means we cannot disclose anything that happens. We can't share screenshots. We can't share information. We can't even discuss it. So I didn't bother applying for it because I feel like that's kind of pointless for me to waste time in it. But as of September 19th, so last week, players gained access to Throne and Liberty and will retain access to Throne and Liberty until October 3rd at 7 p.m. And admittedly, I'm surprised that this only got 200 likes, given it's been up for almost a week. And Throne and Liberty is backed by Amazon Game Studio, so it has the potential to be a very big game. Tower Fantasy went and showcased their brand new character. I remember reacting to this character during the trailer, and she has a lot of personality. Like, I mean, I would definitely roll for her. She seems well worth the probably $150 she's gonna cost. I do have a dedicated video on Tower Fantasy and whether or not you should actually play it in 2023 if you're interested in that, or I actually have an upcoming Tower Fantasy video coming at some point this week going over the game and what it's going to look like in 2024. The Wagadu Chronicles is an MMO that I think I've only covered like 3 times ever. This is actually a game that a friend of mine, Hikari, really likes, is very interested in. This is a very interesting, very unique MMO, and they actually just released a gameplay trailer for the game ahead of its early access release. Now I know this isn't what you're probably expecting, and it might not appeal to you. It's probably not going to appeal to a lot of people, honestly, but it's a very niche MMO, and I think could be a lot of fun. Terasland, which is the WoW killer that happens to look exactly like WoW and is pretty much WoW but mobile compatible, released a set of images, some information about one of their zones, a zone preview for Silverlit, which is honestly a very World of Warcraft looking city, if I'm being honest. Like, this is like World of War, like look at this, come on. This looks like World of Warcraft crossed with, I don't know why it downloaded the image, but sure. Anyway, this looks like World of Warcraft crossed with Genshin Impact. Like, this looks 100% like, wow. It's not even, like, they're not even hiding it. Teraspire released their update roadmap for the remainder of 2023, introducing new maps and bosses, new quests, new active combat skills, new cosmetics, an extension to the main storyline, and more. For those of you that are interested in checking the game out, this is an indie MMO, I believe. Oh, it's actually a mobile. Okay, well, I mean, there's that. I think it's like an indie, yeah, an indie mobile MMO. This is not something I normally cover. And finally, Blue Protocol for PS5, Xbox Series launches this winter in Japan. Global version still due out in 2024. But the most important thing to note here is the PlayStation and Xbox versions of the free-to-play online action RPG Blue Protocol will launch this winter in Japan. This was noted during the Tokyo Game Show 2023. So the game is going to be available on PC. It's going to be available on console in Japan. The game was delayed in other Asian countries into 2024, was delayed in North America, Europe into 2024. Honestly, Blue Protocol Mobile was also announced and is probably going to release before the rest of us get Blue Protocol on PC or console globally. And that is everything. That is all of the MMO related news that mattered to me over the course of the last roughly week and a half. If none of this seems like anything that you might be interested in though, absolutely no problem. I got you covered then with 2 different videos on screen right now that might be more up your alley.